Morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday the 19th of July. So, before I get on to look at the technicals, let's just have a quick look at what's going on and what risk we might see today. So, it's Friday the 19th. We've had retail sales come in from the UK. That is quite a disappointing figure there for the markets, minus 1.2 versus minus 0.6. It was already expected to be lower, but that's quite some significance there, whatever the reasoning behind that is, I'll see. But for now, we've got today now core retail sales 130 for Canada. It's not the biggest of movers, but if you trade in the Canadian dollar, it might get a bit of movement. But from the side of that, we got a FOMC speaker. Now, what's he doing? Let's just look. Due to participate in a panel discussion, a new era for monetary policy. Okay. Just ideas. Right, so don't expect too much to come from that. So there's the news events that are happening today. Let's look at the technicals. Starting off with the euro dollar, and well, it managed to hold of one day above that yearly pivot, and yesterday it's come back down and it's looking quite soft at the moment. Now basically that resistance was the weekly R1, so that's as far as it really wanted to go. It's coming back towards its monthly pivot at this moment. It's already been hit, so it's not particularly a target. It is finding a bit of support, and might find a bit more support here on its quarterly R1 that was sitting there above. Let's check that is the R1. Yep, there's the main pivot point below there. So it's just coming back to that sort of level on the quarterly R1. It looks soft at the moment, no matter how you look at this, but we'll see what happens this morning. Just give it a short while, but it just looks soft. Lower highs, lower lows. There was a rumor that there'll only be one more cut in the by the ECB in terms of interest rates. That doesn't seem to have worked itself too much through onto this market. We had to expect to see something a bit more stronger. This looks quite soft and ugly. Okay, not particularly got any setups I'm looking at immediately. The pound, similar situation here. Yesterday, on Wednesday, that's the day we ran into its monthly R3 and come off from that, and as often happens, it will come back into range, but we've still got quite a bit of a month to go here, so goodness knows what's going to happen next. We are close to its pulling back to its weekly pivot here, and again there's the quarterly S1 sitting just below, so there's potential. Now, we haven't seen much of a retrace off this move. It's just literally gone. I would like a little retrace of this move, and the way it's broken its trend line now. It's given me a little lower high here. It's not the most convincing of lower highs. It did carry on pushing through yesterday, ran through its S1. Today it's just worked its way down a little bit there. I would possibly like to sell this into its daily pivot if it come back to it today. Now, you've got to be a bit careful here because it is still in a relatively strong trend. However, structurally it's just looking that bit weaker, but we'll see what happens. It might get enough of a bounce off its 4-hourly 50, and if it just breaks down a little bit lower into that weekly pivot. But remember, that weekly pivot disappears in terms of support next week. The yen, come off to dailies here. Now this was looking, the dollar yen was looking quite weak. It's broken some of the trends there. I was talking about it yesterday, looking potentially at the short side of this. Wait for this out and see if it closes nicely, and maybe look on the shorter side of this. It's back to the underside of its quarterly a little there as well, so we'll watch this. I'd like it to be coming off a little bit more. It hasn't hit the daily pivot quite yet. Might come back off for that only, but it's got potential. The Aussie dollar, I just need a bit more confirmation. Aussie dollar is remaining softer. I was talking about the bear flag in there on Wednesday, well yesterday. It did finally, let's come down these time frames down to the hourly, there we go. It did finally break that on Wednesday afternoon. Yesterday it was a late one before it really started going properly, 4 o'clock in the afternoon when it started moving off a little bit more, but this is just looking quite soft. Now from the measure of the flagpole and popping it onto the top here, it's done a 786 movement, so it probably hasn't got a great deal more to run in it. Not really looking to sell into the pivot here today. It's just ugly what it's doing here. If anything, I'd rather just see it rolling over, but it can be a very slow one. On a Friday, the Aussie, and I don't really want to hold it over the weekend. The US dollar CAD continue to soften here against, with the US dollar strengthening against it. It's back into its weekly R3 at the moment. It's just come off the R3 through the Asian session there. We'll see what happens. It might get a sort of testing its daily pivot on the new day effectively. We'll see what happens here, but it does look on the softer side. Who knows, post 8 o'clock might just trickle back over, but I was looking at this one stage much more bullishly than I am now, that's for sure. It's just looking like it's going back up towards these prior highs, just softening completely. New Zealand dollar strengthened a little here, not really got much to go on at this stage. It's just catching a bounce off its S2 at the moment. Another one that broke out the wedge. It did finally sort of do a one-to-one on that wedge sort of pattern, but just about, just maybe slightly short of it. It's yeah, not looking the best at the moment. This may be, if it was to get back up into these the quarterly pivot or its daily pivot, might be a point of looking for short potential. I'm still a bit erring towards the downside on the New Zealand dollar for good reason. The Swissy was doing pretty fine, taking out the lows there. It found a bit of a bounce yesterday with a double bottom sort of territory there. Is it going to roll over again this morning? Well, we'll wait and see here at the moment. It has run into some resistance into its R1. Just looking at this, we could be seeing a bit of a dollar change right the way across the board quite quickly, but we'll see. Okay, but looking at this sort of, it's gone beyond the bear flag sort of territory. It's a bit overstretched in terms of time relative to the flagpole itself, but it does look like here, I mean, it's a key reversal bar that's popped in there. Just watch what happens. Euro yen. Just go on to euro yen for a moment. This has been rather stubborn in its sell-off there. It was yesterday very early hours of yesterday morning when it pulled off. Sorry, it wasn't at all. Yes, it was. Early hours of yesterday morning. There we go. Yes, early hours of yesterday morning when it ran and found some support. Again, if I was looking at this and we saw the yen sort of softening, it'd have to be below the daily pivot on the short side there for a continuation to the downside. Okay, that's pretty much it on the currencies. There's not a great deal happening. Let's look at the other markets. Quick look at gold. So gold coming off again. It had run into its R3, so another one of these that's sort of going into more extended levels. And structurally changing here as well. Gold lower high coming through clearly through there. Yesterday afternoon that was confirmed, and it is just looking at a little bit softer. It was looking quite good. It's just that bit softer at the moment, but maybe if we get a bit more of a retracement here, could find something to sell into. But we've got to step quite carefully on it. It's had a decent move to the downside when you look at it on this 4 hourly. Bit of support into the 50 at the moment, 4 hourly 50. We'll see how it develops, but it is just looking a little bit softer. Oil, Western Texas. So I was looking at a sort of flaggy pattern yesterday where it's just doing more of the same really. Got this trend line across the highs there, just in between at the moment where it's sitting around its low near-term lows. It could just come back over towards the quarterly pivot, which seems to be providing some sort of support previously. Just looks that little bit softer. It was doing quite well, come off quite strongly yesterday in the end. S&P's another one that's rocking and rolling here at the moment and looking quite a bit more softer now. It's confirmed a lower high here, so structurally we're seeing some changes here, and it's just looking softer again as we run down here. Just looks a bit soft this morning. It hasn't come back quite to its pivot. It would have been quite nice if it had. It's a nice move off of it yesterday. See what happens this morning. We could, into this afternoon, we could see this running down towards the S1. Doesn't look good as it stands. Nasdaq pretty much same. It looks like it's heading for its monthly pivot. And the Dow was running up high and beating all the numbers yesterday. Is it going to give me the Dow? There you go. But not to be at the end of the day. It ended up closed. Key reversal bar there, quite bearish looking. But of course, don't forget we're in these much bigger trends. You get all a bit tied into wanting to short a market. However, structurally, to be fair, it's given reason for shorters to come in, maybe for short-term swingers. I'm not sure I'd want to hold it over the weekend, but it is just looking a bit softer. This is after I gave a decent case for it not being a short trade, but it's just that I don't like trading things when they're running upwards. I don't like counter trading them. Spent too many years doing that. DAX looking softer. Now if you want to market it looks softer, this is structurally it's changed, it's broken its trend here again. Pivot swing sitting there, breaking down there yesterday, and it is certainly looking softer here. Today it might be next week the way it's running at the moment. It just really, but it is in a range. The range might see buyers coming into the lows here. As I said, with the currencies we could see all change. See a change in the equity markets as well. If we can find some key support of these sort of levels. But at the moment they seem like good targets. Right, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to wish you an absolutely... what stocks? I don't really look at stocks individually, Caleb. I'm quite happy if you want to look at a particular stock. But I don't look at individual stocks. It's more Forex really. Here you can always throw a stock in there, but for today I'm pretty much done. So I'm going to wish you a great day, and but if you want a stock covered, just pop it on there first thing and we'll have a look at it for you. Right, I will catch you guys later. Have a great day and catch you Monday.